Steve, as always, a pleasure to have you on to talk about the much anticipated results from Hazen. Looking at Tuesday's results, clearly the market is impressed, but can you explain to us exactly what 99.97% purity means and what's the benchmark?
Yes, thanks very much, Alex. So the benchmark in the industry is 99.5%. That's what's considered battery grade, although because this is a specialist chemical, there isn't really such a thing as battery grade. So let's use 99.5% because that's the industry standard. Our results today have demonstrated 99.97% purity. So it sounds like we're just down in the decimal points, but the difference between those two numbers is that the product we've released today has 60 times less impurities than the industry standard. Now that means that you're producing a product that's going to be better across the board, better for the industry.
Okay, so from a commercial perspective, what does high purity and lower impurities mean? Or if I could put it another way, what impact does it have on the performance of a lithium-ion battery for an electric vehicle, for instance?
Well, that's an excellent question, and thanks for asking it. So the reason Lake has gone down this path, if we go back a few years ago, we were going primarily into East Asia, talking to cathode makers, battery makers, and they were focusing on purity, or should I say low impurities. There was a lot of new production, both hard rock and brine, and they were having some issues. What it feeds into is two things in the battery. First of all, if you get certain impurities, iron, silicon, boron, there's a list of them, you can either create dendrites, which causes a battery to short out, or you cause problems with the lithium ions basically going through the little maze in and out every time you charge and discharge your battery. So that's why they want low impurities, not just in lithium, but in all the inputs. Of course, it depends on the battery configuration, but there's a real trend towards this, together with a more sustainable product going in there as well.
And just finally, Steve, you've said Hazen will continue to deliver more samples and you'll supply samples to Novonix this quarter. Is that Novonix work specifically another critical milestone for you? And how will their work broaden sector exposure?
So I mentioned before that we will send off samples to off-takers, but it's difficult, particularly for a new incoming party, to sort of kick that door down, particularly to tier one battery makers and cathode makers. And the quality of this product certainly helps that. But to avoid any concerns, having that tested in a battery by an independent third party that is extremely well credentialed, like Novonix, also helps us in those discussions. It also means that if we're talking, say, to an electric vehicle maker or a battery maker, but they would like us to talk to their cathode maker, they say, listen, we'd really like to have this product in our supply chain, and now with Novonix testing, we know that's going to work well, so let's advance those conversations. I'd like to add one other thing. So it's not just Novonix work and going after off-takers. I want to just talk a little bit more about pricing. A high purity product also gets premium pricing. At the moment, I can just Google up on Alibaba and various sites, and I can see $15,000, $16,000 a tonne for 99.95% purity. So let's just take $15,000 a tonne. That's $4,000 a tonne more than in our PFS. That doubles the post-tax NPV. It sends the IRR through the roof. So that's also going to make financing, which is some of the concerns people raised, a whole lot easier as well. So this is a pretty exciting time. Today was a milestone announcement, and I think the market is going to take a few days to fully comprehend, because there's nobody else who's got this sort of product available out there in the market.
It's obviously an outstanding development for you, Steve. Really appreciate you jumping on to chat us through it, and look forward to further updates soon.
Thanks so much.